Have a listen to this. Have a listen to this.
Interest rates are higher. I know people don't like that, but you should be welcoming the stronger economy.
And maybe a deal has a point about the machinery of capitalism being oiled with the blood of the worker.
The United States is a country that has always paid all of its bills.
Lannister always pays his debts.
Don't let the bastards get you.
Surprise! Welcome back to Comedian versus Economist. My name's Adam and we're joined as always, I say as always, it's been a while, by my little older brother and real life economist, Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
Yeah, g'day Adam. How you going?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I say welcome back because I feel like it's unlikely that word has spread yet that we're back. So I'm guessing it's mostly just people that used to listen to us. Early this year, I think we finished up, wasn't it? So 8 months, something. Anyway, we're back. Here we are.
People are going to think we've had a baby. Just mysteriously disappeared for 9 months.
Dave,
to protect your honour.
Dave Grohl just announced he had a baby, actually. And there's speculation it might be an Australian mother because it was out of wedlock. Naughty Dave. I did see someone posted that he was a total, because he did like a press release for it, and they said it was a total missed opportunity. He didn't start the press release with, "I got another confession to make," which is a classic line from a Foo Fighters song. Anyway, we're off topic. What have you been up to? Just quickly.
Nah, not much really. Just, just hanging out, being an economist.
Time well spent. I'm glad we paused the the runaway freight train momentum that we have with this show. I'm glad we paused that so that you could take some time off to do not much. Good. I got a new job. I'm no longer working at the bank, which is where I was before, not doing banking stuff. I'm not financially literate, but doing techie, computery stuff. I'm now working for a big techie company. So that's good. But what it does mean is I'm now free to hang shit on banks. So that's nice.
Hey, we'll make that a regular segment.
And for those who have been following Track My Brown on Twitter, he's up to about minus $850 for the year. If you put $20 on every one of Brownie's bets, proving that gambling advertising is good for nobody except maybe the sports leagues and the government. All right, let's crack on. Massive show. We've got rate cuts. Thomas, I'm sure everyone wants to know what's happening with rate cuts. Hopefully they're deep cuts. Kyrgyzstan. Why is Kyrgyzstan so hot right now? I hear everybody asking. Well, we're going to dive into Kyrgyzstan. And is the EV fad over already before it started? Have we fallen out of lust with Musk? But, Thomas, GDP.
Jeez, I've missed those puns.
Where else would we start but GDP? We have got some charts, I should point out. This is going to be we've made some tweaks to the CVE formula, to the recipe that we mix CVE with each week. So we've made some tweaks to the formula just to make it a bit less labor intensive on your part, Thomas. I'm still bringing the same work ethic that I always have, but just to make it a bit easier to produce each week. So very chart focused, it's fair to say. A lot of charts. We will share the charts to Instagram and Facebook pages at CVE Podcast. We will try and wrangle the charts into the YouTube videos and things that we plan to produce, but don't go looking yet because they're not there. So let's get started. GDP, and that's the reason I'm doing the show again, is because I just want to, I've bought some popcorn. I want to sit back and watch the recession. Is that where we're headed?
Well, yeah, the soft landing is looking pretty soft at the moment. Yeah, GDP growth is down to the lowest since the 90s recession at the headline level. And it's a lot worse at a per capita sense. So that's the first chart we've got if you're following along at home. Yeah, so per capita recession has now fallen in 6 of the last 8 quarters. So it's almost a per capita depression.
What does that mean? What does per capita, I only know it in the context of Australia we're the biggest drinkers per capita in the world.
Yes.
So what does it mean to have a per capita recession?
Yeah, it means you just sort of divide GDP, you divide the economy per person. So you get a sense of how much everyone's slice of the pie, how much that is growing. rather than the total pie. And the total pie is growing, not well. It's lower since the 90s, but it's still growing. And that's largely thanks to population growth, and which is mostly immigration.
Right.
But if you strip that out and try to look at how well people are doing individually, we're going backwards.
Right.
And there's an interesting, like per capita, like 10 years ago, no one was talking about per capita recessions. It just wasn't. And I think because per capita and headline GDP didn't diverge that much. So you just looked at headline and that gave you a sense. But in the last sort of 5-10 years, there's real gaps opened up between per capita and the headline. And people are going like, actually, this is kind of more interesting. Like for me, it's a much more interesting data point because it speaks to people's actual experience of the economy.
Right.
Whereas the headline is maybe more interesting from a business level because businesses are selling into an economy. So if headline growth is up, then that's good for businesses. But for individuals, the per capita is probably more interesting. And I think it's why it probably feels like a recession to a lot of people, even though that's not what the headline data is saying.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a recession because everything's getting heaps more expensive. I don't know. What does a recession feel like? I'm not sure what it's supposed to feel like as a person.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just struggling, like I think.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, things are tough is sort of how it feels. Well, I mean, it's interesting we're not seeing it in the jobs data yet. Like unemployment's still low.
I was going to say that's the key thing of a recession, isn't it? That we start to see people struggling for work, like jobs dry up, people start losing jobs. It doesn't feel like that's happening yet. So the only negative kind of thing I can feel in the world at the moment is prices are going up, but people still seem like they're in work, but that's not necessarily helping because the price of what you're getting paid isn't enough to cover the prices.
Yeah, no, and at that level, it's quite interesting. So you can look at per capita household income, and that's tanked. So real per capita household income. So we're deflating for inflation. So looking at actual purchasing power per person in the economy, and that's tanked. Like that's the worst on record. That's now down nearly 10% from the peak. Like the most worst recession before that was the 90s recession, and that was down 3.5%. It's a huge kind of collapse in household income, in actual purchasing power, because we've had this interesting thing of like, we just had high inflation, which we haven't had for a long time.
Right.
And almost, no real catch up in wages growth.
So what does it mean? Does it mean we're going to see some more widespread recession following this? Like, is this just is this the canary in the coal mine for a bigger recession?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So with household incomes collapsing, consumption's collapsing. And that like aggregate consumption's holding up because population growth is holding up, but per person spending is collapsing. So households are reining it in, they're tightening their budgets. If that continues, that'll start to impact on consumer facing businesses, which then creates job losses. And then you'll start to see the unemployment rise. Right. But unemployment kind of has to rise because inflation's still above the target band. So the RBA is still looking for, they're now sort of talking more about having a dual mandate focus. So they care about, they used to just care about inflation. And then after the review a few years ago, now they're going to care about unemployment as well. Unemployment's not giving them a trigger for cutting rates because it's not really lifting and it's still quite low relative to historic averages. And inflation stays high. So within that mix, the RBA is allowed to be patient. They can say like, well, unemployment's not lifting, inflation's still above target. We're happy to keep rates where they are, which is at a kind of restrictive level. At
the risk of complicating this even more than I can already understand, but where does wages fit in? Because that seems to be a key component there, right? Like, great, everyone's got a job, but if people aren't earning enough money, if wages aren't growing fast enough to keep up with inflation that's running hot, then isn't that as big a problem as employment? We could say everyone's got a job and we're going to pay you $1 a week. That doesn't mean everyone's good.
No. Again, you're taking a people-centric approach to the economy, which we just tend not to do.
Well, yeah, no. In fairness, Michelle Bullock, she probably gets around to the royal. She's the governor of the RBA now. We miss Phil for his comedic value more than anything. I should point out, not most of his policies were dog shit, but she probably gets around like I do to the royal shows. And I went to the Royal Adelaide show the other day, and watching people spending at the Royal Adelaide show was like, whoa, what cost of living crisis? There's like Freddo Frog bags of chocolates, literally just the family pack of Freddo Frogs for 3 times supermarket prices. people buying up like 12 bags. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right. That's some potent anecdata. Yeah, I feel silly bringing all these charts to the discussion.
I know. We should have just taken some photos at the show.
Yeah.
All right. People-centric view.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing. Like, people were talking about the wages breakout, and there was this whole fear campaign, led by the AFR around the wages breakout is coming, and we need to lean against that, and we need to discourage workers from, driving inflation higher. And in the end, wages did nothing. Like, they got up to like 4.5% or something, which is, high for historic norms, but inflation's running at 7 to 8%. So real incomes are going backwards.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw. And now they're starting to come off. So there was like it was a massive fear campaign around the wages breakout. It just never happened.
Right.
And then people ended up going backwards.
All right. Excellent. Well, that's hopefully the bad news out of the way. All right, why don't we take a break there, grab a word from this week's sponsors, if we have any, and be right back with more Comedian versus Economist right after this. Welcome back. You're on Comedian versus Economist. Thomas, the doom and gloom of recessions is out the way. Rate cuts. Give us some good news. What's on the rate cuts horizon?
Yeah, well, we should be getting rate cuts.
Sweet.
We're saying like the RBA's got permission to be patient, and I think they'll take that. And so I don't think we'll get rate cuts this year. I got a chart here on Insta, which is CBA's projection for rate cuts. They're still looking for a cut in November, and then 4 cuts through 2025. So yeah, about 100 basis points of cuts on the way, they reckon. I'm not sure we'll get one this year, but definitely rate cuts are the flavour of things. We're seeing like a lot of central banks, the ECB just cut again for the second time. Bank of Canada's cut. So that's the general flavour. The expectation is the Fed's going to cut next week. So I think the RBA is going to lag the global cycle, but I think probably early in the year we're going to get some cuts, I would expect.
We lagged the increases too, didn't we, a bit?
Yeah.
We were a bit late to that party.
Yeah, we were a bit complacent around inflation in hindsight.
Spoken like a true economist. Where were you? Where were you when inflation was kicking off and everyone said we need to do something about this?
Yeah, we were in no rate hikes until 2024.
That's right. I told you we missed Phil. I told you.
Oh, poor guy. That's the only thing people are going to remember about him is just that completely botched call.
Well, yeah, but he had one job, right?
Yeah.
Had one job, which was to govern the RBA and steer us through the darkness. And it didn't work. All right, so we're going to get rate cuts at the end of the year.
Or early new year.
Thomas, Kyrgyzstan, I hear it everywhere. People ask me on the street, they say, Adam, what's going on in Kyrgyzstan? What's the story? And I say to them, look, I don't know, but I'll ask Thomas because he's right across most of what's happening in that part of the world. Thomas, what's going on in Kyrgyzstan?
I mean, I've got no idea, but I do have one interesting chart which shows that Germany's exports to Kyrgyzstan have exploded. Have gone from about 5 million euros a year to...
Kyrgyzstan's just got a sudden fondness with BMWs. They're just like...
precision engineering that Kyrgyzstanis are demanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so it's gone from 5 million a month to about 80 million a month. Oof. So a massive jump up. But it completely coincides with the war in Ukraine and the sanctions on Russia. So what it looks like is that rather than exporting to Russia, Germany is exporting to Kyrgyzstan and they're passing it on. So hopefully the Kyrgyzstanis are clipping the ticket there and pocketing a bit. They deserve it.
But isn't that the reason they're doing that presumably is because it's a really bad look to be selling to Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I take your point that hopefully the Kyrgyzstan people are clipping the ticket on the way through, as you say. But I feel like we've maybe missed the problem here.
Yeah.
Which is that Germany's selling stuff to Russia. Do we? Because their sanctions are still in place, aren't they?
Sanctions, yeah, that's right. But I think it was mostly around the financial system. They sort of froze Russia out of the financial system.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was meant to target like the oligarchs and, seizing yachts and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the idea isn't to necessarily
BMWs.
That's right.
It's all starting to make sense. All the oligarchs lost their 5 Series, and now they're getting them back through Kyrgyzstan from Germany.
Yeah.
Is Kyrgyzstan? I don't know. Where do they stand in geopolitical sense of like? Are they pro Russia? Are they?
I've got zero idea. I didn't even know how to pronounce it before we started this segment.
It's true. We did have a little practice session.
Yeah, sanctions are hard. It's hard to sort of like completely isolate an economy from the global economy.
Well, yeah, especially when people are sliding things through the back door of Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
So we all put sanctions on Russia and everyone went, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah, those bad Russians, we're not going to sell to them anymore. Oh, hey, Kyrgyzstan, what's up? Do you want to buy like all the stuff that we were selling to Russia? All right, finally, Thomas, electric vehicles. You haven't got one yet. I haven't got one.
Oh, I've got one.
Have you?
Yeah. My second car is an EV.
That's your mother-in-law's car.
Yeah, but we use it. So we have a shared house. Like we have 2 blocks. She lives on the back block. We share cars.
That's a stretch to say it's your second car. It's like saying you've got an investment property that your mother-in-law lives in.
But no, we use it as our primary car. We drive to school, do school pickup and drop off in it.
All right, simple question. Who bought it?
Yeah, she did.
It's
our car.
It's her car. All right, beside the point.
Anyway, this probably explains a lot of the regret. So this is the chart I've got.
The reason people regret buying EVs is because their son-in-law keeps stealing them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so this is the chart we've got. Like they ask current EV owners, how likely would you be to switch back to a petrol car?
Yeah.
Global average was 29% would.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But in Australia, leading the world is 49%. So almost 50% of EV owners are looking to switch back to petrol cars in Australia.
Ah, interesting. So that's not. So it's not a global. I thought when you told me this, I thought it was a global thing, but it's an Australian thing.
Yeah, I mean it's 46% in the US, but it gets down to 13% in Japan.
Is this attributable to the wide brown land in which we live?
I think so. Yeah, a range anxiety is a thing. We ran out of juice the other day. I had to pull into a grocer and
buy some batteries. Just the 19 packs of double A's, thanks, mate.
Had to MacGyver together a little string of double A's in the back.
The EV equivalent of buying a jerry can.
My wife was driving. She pulled into the grocer like 10 Ks from home. So I had to run over with the power cord. And the grocer was like, nah, can't plug that in here. So then we had to take it to the house next door and they helped us out.
Ah. So hang on, you went into the grocery store holding a power lead that was plugged into your EV out the front and said, do you mind, can I just have a quick top up?
Yeah, I'll pay you for it. We offered to,
How's he going to price that? He's got to get his little pricer out. He's putting stickers on apples.
No, come on, it's like a couple of dollars at most. We're happy to... Yeah. And it's like, I mean, in grocer, like it's a grocer / petrol station. Oh, okay. So like he is in the business of helping people get home.
Oh, no, he isn't apparently.
No, So yeah, I mean, I get this as an EV owner. It's a completely different beast. Like I kind of think about the petrol car and the EV as just being different. And I'd love it to be simpler, but until you can sort of like plug in and charge up in 5 minutes.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's not just the fact that they run out of juice. It's the fact that when they do, it takes a lot longer than it does to fill up. You put 5 litres of fuel in, what's that take you? Like in a jerry can takes, 30 seconds. Whereas if you run out of juice, or even if you get low and you're like, oh, we better fill up, then what do you do? Do you pull in somewhere and you got to wait half an hour while it? Yeah. Or how long does it take?
Oh, it depends on the wattage going through, but like at home it would take 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours maybe for a full charge.
Nah, it's no good.
Yeah, you got to plan your day. You got to plan, plan your trips. Got a morning trip, got an afternoon trip. How far are we going to travel? How much charge are we going to get? Like it requires thought.
Yeah. No. Well, if there's one thing we know about people, Thomas, we don't like thinking.
That's right. Yeah.
Thinking and planning, no thank you.
But it does make me wonder how in Japan, I mean, Japan is typically like this, the urban areas are much denser than Australian urban areas, and maybe there's just better charging infrastructure, but it does make me wonder why it's working for the Japanese and not for, and Italians. Italians are only 15%.
Yeah. Well, in Japan, there's trains everywhere. So if it breaks down, you just hop on a train and you're good. That might be part of it too. Like, is it maybe directly correlated with the quality of the public transport infrastructure that exists? Because it might be a lot easier to own a car in Japan because the train system and everything else is so good that that's your primary form of transport. That owning a car is really like a secondary. It's an occasional thing. It's like we'll just leave it on charge all week, and then when I go out and play squash on a Thursday, I'll take the car. Yeah. But other than that, I'm just training it everywhere. So whereas in Australia, we're really we're car drivers.
Yeah,
and the US too, probably.
US too, yeah. No, I think that's probably right.
Brazil's the odd one then in that. Oh no, because they'd be, I don't know, they're public.
I don't know. I don't imagine the public transport infrastructure in Brazil's like it's not Japan level.
No, no one is. Well, Italy then. Italy's a bit of an odd one. I've never been there. Is Italy's public transport good? Who knows? All
Mussolini made.
We're really speculating now, which we don't like to do on the show, but it is an interesting fact. The other thing might be too that people just like now we've all seen your Tesla, that we're not impressed anymore. Like that was the reason people bought Teslas and EVs. A bit of virtue signaling, a bit of, hey, check out my new Tesla. And everyone went, cool.
Yeah, chicks dig my Nissan Leaf. That's a real head turner.
Especially when you say, I'm a part owner with my mother-in-law.
Is this your car? Yeah, pretty much.
Well, mostly. All right, on that note, why don't we leave it there? Thank you for tuning in to our return episode, a bit scrappy. I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, actually. I had a good laugh. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget, check out Buy or Sell, a podcast I also do on the Equity Mates Investing podcast feed. New episodes of that every 3 weeks. This podcast we aim, at least, to do every week. So hopefully you'll tune in. Thank you for your company, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time on Comedian versus Economist. It's bye for now.
Comedian vs. Economist is a product of Equity Mates Media. All information in this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional finance, legal, or tax advice. The hosts of Comedian vs. Economist are not financial professionals and are not aware of your personal financial circumstances. Before making any financial decisions, you should read the product disclosure statement and, if necessary, consult a licensed financial professional. Do not take financial advice from a podcast. For more information, head to the disclaimer page on the Equity Mates website, where you can find ASIC resources and find a registered financial professional near you. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media and the hosts of Comedian vs. Economist acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today.